Thomas. The reason for this interview is to help inspire other parents that have sick children, is to help inspire and to give hope, to parents out there that's going through, raising a child, that have, various different types of illnesses. The name of my daughter's disease is called Rett Syndrome, and Rett Syndrome is a progressive neurodevelopmental disorder. My daughter had a fun life when she was younger. She loved interacting with other children. She loved helping other children. So I think that when she was younger, that she had a pretty good life. She was just happy-go-lucky, always wanted to be involved in whatever the children, were doing. And I would like to say this. When my daughter was younger, she always have had a developmental disability, meaning that, she was delayed in a lot of areas of her life. So she was a special needs child, but she did pretty well. She came along, pretty good, to have a developmental disability. So she had a fun life. She just had special needs, in many areas of her life. I think she did fantastic in school, even though my daughter was a special needs child with specialized education programs. Matter of fact, her teachers thought that Marika had come a long ways, even though she was a special needs child. They were very amazed at how she progressed throughout the years and each school semester, how she just came such a long way. So she came along pretty well. She did. Marika, my daughter, started having seizures at the age of 13, and she continued battling with seizures from the age of 13 to the age of 14. I believe what happened was just one day at home she had fell out in the floor with a seizure, and from that day on she was diagnosed as epilepsy. So she battled with seizures for about a whole year, and when she started having these seizures, she see a neurologist to try to find out, why Marika, my daughter, was having, so many seizures, and why she battled with the seizures for so long. Like, her seizures was like, uncontrollable.
It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
Marika is about to take a 7:30 dose of medicine.
The little girl asked for mommy.
It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come.
In the beginning, when she first started having the seizures, it was pretty devastating, and it was pretty scary, because I couldn't figure out, with even taking the medication, why was, she still, having seizures. I think what happened was her neurologist had told me that with her treatment plan, as far as the medication in controlling her seizure, that she was unsuccessful with her treatment plan. He tried numerous of medications to control her seizures, but for some reason, very hard for her seizures to be in control, with the medication. So she had ran out of pretty much all the options as far as the medication. So she was just unsuccessful with her treatment plan, and she continued having seizures. They would be in control for a short while, and then, again, the seizures returned back. I remember one year when she was battling seizures, they kind of altered her because during the time she was battling with these seizures caused her to miss out on her 8th grade graduation. By the time it was time for Marika to graduate from 8th grade into high school, she was unable to make it to her graduation because, you know, of so much of the seizure activity. So that was pretty much painful to me, because what mother doesn't want to see their child, you know, graduate from 8th grade going into high school? And so unfortunately, she was unable to make it to walk across that stage to receive her high school diploma, you know, with her other classmates. So that was pretty devastating. It was all during the time that she was battling with her seizures, and, you know, for some reason we were unable to, you know, control her seizures. But when she missed out on her graduation, that was pretty painful to me, because I was looking forward to seeing my daughter graduate across that stage to receive her high school diploma, to, you know, go into high school. So the seizures pretty much, you know, kind of alter her life, you know. So, but, you know, other than that, sometimes we, you know, have to take it the bitter with the sweet sometimes. So, but it was pretty devastating and scary. No, I don't think none of the medication that my daughter received was affected as far as her seizure. No, I don't think so, because like I say, her neurologist tried numerous of medication to control her seizures, but for some reason she was unsuccessful in her treatment plan as far as the seizure medication. So I don't think it was effective.
A long time coming, but I know.
I noticed something different about my daughter when she stopped walking, and she stopped talking, and she stopped eating. At that point, I wasn't for sure if it was the seizure that had brought her to this point where she had became not able to walk and talk and eat anymore. But I found out later when she was, one time she was admitted in the hospital, that it was something else going on with my daughter besides the seizures. For one, I remember her neurologist had did a CAT scan on her, if I'm not mistaken, an MRI, and her neurologist said to me, you know, Mom, we in Marika's tests, we see the seizure activity that she's having, but it's something else that we saw in her tests, which he said was some type of movement disorder. He said she's not, all of these are not just seizures that she's having. He said she's also, there's some other kind of brain activity going on. She also has a movement disorder, you know, and so they were able to see, you know, kind of what was going on in the brain besides the seizure. They also saw some type of movement disorder too. But her neurologist also mentioned that to me one day, that he said, your daughter has a very, very complicated brain disorder. So, so that's when I noticed that it had to be something else other than the seizures, because when she stopped walking, and when she stopped talking, and when she stopped eating, that was very devastating. I said, you know, I know seizures doesn't stop, you know, someone from walking, talking, and eating. I know that sometimes seizures can have this effect, but not to the point where a person become disabled, when they're not able to walk, they're not able to talk, and they're not able to eat. So at that point, I knew it had to be something else going on with Marika.
Got to see a brighter day.
Since the age of 1 year old, old to 18, my daughter has had 7 different diagnoses.
Sure.
Well, you know what, here's the thing. Now, I also wrote a book about my daughter's life since the beginning when she was born. And I also mentioned in my book about all of her diagnoses, all 7 of the diagnoses. It's more specific, and I talked a lot about all of the diagnoses that she has been diagnosed with. So I don't want to give out, you know, a lot of information about her diagnosis, but if in her book, it's all in her book about her diagnosis. So, you know, if anybody wants to know about her 7 diagnoses, they should read the book and it tell more about the 7 diagnoses that she's had. The book is not ready yet, and it's still being some work done on the book, but you know, eventually, and with the God's will, it'll be soon that the book will be out and people will be able to read her book.
I've gotta go. I can't stay. I've got to see a brighter day.
They told her to bring her back. She wasn't doing any better, and they just showed some increased lethargy and maybe some shortness of breath.
Well, you know, back in 2007, when my daughter had first taken ill, a doctor had told me that my daughter, she said to be, you know, to prepare for her. She didn't think that my daughter had long to live, because at that time in 2007, my daughter had deteriorated so bad. She did, you know, she was very, very sick. I mean, she just had just lost everything. She deteriorated down to bones. I mean, she had lost so much weight, she was unable to do anything. But at this time, during this time in 2007, when she first had taken ill, this is one of the diagnoses that she was diagnosed with. She was diagnosed with sepiapterin reductase deficiency, which is some type of genetic disease too. But during that time, the doctor had told me to prepare for her, that she didn't think my daughter had long to live. So that was, you know, I guess that was her life expectancy. But you see, here it is, 2013. My daughter is still here through the grace of God. So I understand when doctors say things like that, when they, you know, put a limit on your life. But see, God has the last say so. He has the last say so. I respect what they say as far as a medical point of view. But at the end of the day, God still has the last word. She's still here. So, and I look at it like this. I know my daughter's still, to this day, too sick to still be living. But I take it that God has the last say so. And it's obvious a plan and a purpose, you know, that God had for us, because she's still here. So that's how I look at the life expectancy. How I dealt with all of this, first of all, I had to surrender. And I had to see God through all of this, even in the beginning when she first got sick. Because I knew that I was on a very long journey, you know, with my daughter and her illness. So I had to surrender my life to God. I had to surrender everything to the Lord. And God has helped me deal with this. You know, sometimes we have to put Him first, because without seeking the Lord and finding the Lord, it's no way now 5.5 years that I would have been able to, you know, take care of my daughter. It was definitely difficult for me. it was one of the biggest burden that I have ever had to carry before in my life. Very difficult, very devastating to see and watch my daughter, 5.5 years, deteriorate down to bones, just deteriorate. And I think, you know, too, what was devastating for me was that, you know, at one point when my daughter first got sick, I thought that she was going through something and she would get better. But she didn't get better. She got worse. Every year she had gotten worse. She never came back to the little girl that I once had. So to me, it's just not her illness, it's the way she got sick. It was the way she got sick. I mean, when she lost her speech, I didn't have time to even take that in and accept it and take it in before she was stricken from being able to walk. So when she stopped walking and she stopped talking and she stopped eating, you know, that was a lot to take in at one time. You know, it wasn't like one thing happened when she stopped talking, then months later she stopped walking. No, it didn't happen that way to her. It's the way that she got sick. Everything just came down at one time. You know, her speech left. Her ability to walk, that left. And then when she wasn't unable to eat anymore, where to the point they had to place a feeding tube in her stomach. So it was like three devastating things that happened to her all at one time, and on top of that, she deteriorated. She just deteriorated. So it was very hard and very difficult for me. But like I say, when I surrendered to God and just gave it to him, he showed me how to walk through this. The Holy Spirit showed me how to walk through this. You know, God equipped me, and he gave me the strength. It was God's strength that got me this far, 5.5 years now with my daughter. Had not been for God on my side, I don't know. She would probably be in a nursing home, you know, or I would probably be sick. But you see, I look back over these 5 years that my daughter been sick and look back and see how he has kept me. He has kept me through this all. So that's how I was able to get through all of this, because God, the grace of God. Joy. Count it all joy. Count it all joy. Right now, when I've dealt with this journey that I've been on with my daughter, through her illness, it taught me, it showed me how to love one another, how to really love, you know, being appreciative, thankful, grateful. It's something about my daughter's sickness. It's something about being in the presence of the Lord. I don't sit now and get all depressed and stressed out over my daughter. I used to at one point, but it's something about being in the presence of the Lord and getting a relationship with him. You can still find peace even through the midst of the storm. So I'm at a place now in my life where I have found the peace. You know, that's just, you'll get there, you'll find that when you in the presence with the Lord. So right now, I feel great, to the point to where, you know, I'm expecting for God to use me in any way that he can to help the next parent. You know, you have mothers out there that have children. I mean, it's diagnosis taking place every single day. Every single day a child is getting diagnosed. So we have parents out there that's, some of them don't, because I've met many of them, you know, they don't know, I mean, they don't know what to do, they going through, and, you know, all of that stuff. And I understand them. You know, I can feel exactly where they come from, because I'm a parent that experienced that too, and I'm still going through this. So I think that with parents, you know, that have special need children, terminally ill children, they need to be embraced. They need to be embraced. I mean, they you know, they need someone to let them know that they're not alone. And most importantly, what they really need to know is that we have an awesome God. We have a higher power, you know, and you seek to the Lord and you turn to the Lord. He will help you through these things. If he helped me get through it, he's not a respecter of person. He will help them all. God is no respecter of person, so what he do for one, he'll do for us all. And I just think it's very important for parents to know that. You don't have to be in this alone. You don't have to deal with this alone when you're raising a child and taking care of a child that's terminally ill. You don't have to be in this alone. If, you know, they just need to surrender, seek the Lord, and he will make a way. He will see them through this, through their hurt, through their pain, through all of it. Yes, he will, and I'm a witness to that. So you know that I'm expecting that one day in life, in the future, that, you know, I can travel, you know, and give my testimony, you know, to help many people out there, many people. You know, giving God the glory, just let people know what God can do. He truly brought me through some stuff, because my daughter is not even supposed to be living. She's too sick to live. In my book, I explain many illnesses and ailments that my daughter has to battle through with each and every day of her life. So, hey, you know, I want to help people. You know, the Bible said we're supposed to help one another, you know, love one another, you know, so that is, I'm open arms, and I'm just open to God using me in any way that he wants to use me. Especially parents that's going through with terminally ill children. They're hurting out there. They are hurting. And it is a hurtful thing. It's a very hurtful thing to see your child go through any type of illnesses, whether it's cancer or whatever it may be. You know, a lot of people just don't know. We hurt when we see our child suffer, you know, in their affliction and going through, you know, these type of illness. It hurts. It's very painful. But like I say, you don't have to go through this alone. You know, we have a higher power. We have an awesome God. And if you just give it to him, you know, just give God that burden. He said cast our cares, cast our burdens on him. That's all you gotta do is just give it to him. You know, and he'll see you through. He will see you through. He'll make a way. Well, you know what, if it's God's will, my plan is I've come up with some creative ideas, very creative thoughts on starting, you know, a foundation, an organization for families with terminally ill children. You know, I came up with some ideas. I want to do something different. These ideas and these, you know, it's something different that I want to put out there to the parents, you know, that's facing these crises with terminally ill children. And I would like to come together with a group of parents to share, you know, my ideas, and to hopefully, you know, also give them the opportunity to share some ideas that they may have too. So that is what my plans is, to start a non-for-profit organization for families with terminally ill children. So I would love to share these ideas with many parents out there. We all can come together and put our heads together, put our ideas together, embrace one another, bring hope to one another, inspire one another. Those are my plans, and if it's the Lord's will and God, use me in that way, then that's what I want to see happen. Sonia Thomas 709 at yahoo.com. LASONYA, LaSonia Thomas, THOMAS 709 at yahoo.com. In my opinion, yes, I do, and I explain why. Because my daughter was unsuccessful in many of the medication that she was taking for her seizures. I remember her neurologist, we had spoken over the phone, and he asked me, he said, have Marika, which is my daughter, he said, has she ever taken it's a medication called Depakote? And I said, well, no, I never heard of Depakote medication. He said, well, I would like to try her on the Depakote medication just to see how she does on it. And so I said, okay, fine. So he faxed, the prescription to the pharmacy. I got that prescription. I got the medication, Depakote. I got it filled. I came home and I began to administer the Depakote medication to her, just as her neurologist prescribed how to give her the medication. So I began administering her the medication, and I believe about 4 weeks after she had taken this medication, that is when Marika began to lose her ability to walk. Shortly after, I ended up taking her to the emergency room, and I told them what her symptoms was, that she lost her appetite, she's having problem walking, she's not speaking. And what they told me was, with this Depakote medication, and of course during that time she was still having seizures, so they had told me that they wanted me to give her more doses of the Depakote medication. They wanted to increase the Depakote medication to decrease the seizure activity, and they felt that by increasing the Depakote medication, that this would decrease the seizures, and plus the symptoms will go away. And so when I got home, the next day, it just seemed like she was still getting worse. So I called her neurologist, and I told him that I had taken her to the emergency room, and they sent us back home and told me to just increase the Depakote medication. And he told me, take her back to the emergency room. I'll let them know that I want her admitted so that we can run further tests to kind of see, is there a possibility there could be anything else going wrong with her besides the seizure. But when Marika's neurologist first introduced me to the Depakote medication, when she started taking that medication, that's when her life went downhill. Soon after, weeks after she had taken the Depakote medication. So, but in in the midst of all of this, she was hospitalized. When they ran tests, they found out that my daughter had a genetic disease. So now, here's my question. What part did the Depakote medication play? What part did the medication play on my daughter's health? I just don't believe what she was diagnosed with is what altered her to stop walking, talking, and eating. And yes, she does have a genetic disease. And yes, her disease has a lot to do with her health condition. But I believe from my heart that the Depakote medication played a part in my daughter's health. It could be, it's a possibility that it could have worsened her condition with the disease that she already has. Maybe the medication could have worsened her condition. It played some part of my daughter's illness, and I will take that to my grave. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that. And the reason too, because right after taking the Depakote, she stopped walking, talking, and eating. And this was not 3-4 months down the line when this happened to her. It was weeks after she had taken the Depakote medication. But from my knowledge and from, talking with a couple doctors, is that the Depakote didn't have its effect on my daughter's, in her condition now. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I don't know about that. I don't know about that because I'm thinking about the timing. It was the timing. It was the way she got sick. Before she had taken this Depakote medication, although she was battling with seizures, Marika was still doing fine. She was still doing fine. Matter of fact, she was even still going to school until the seizures get pretty out of control. Then I would have to, keep her out of school until we can kind of get the seizures back in control. But Marika was doing, pretty good, even though she was battling with the seizures. It's when she took the Depakote medication, she never was the same no more. She was not the same little girl that I remember. So it was the way she got sick and the timing that she got sick. So, but I believe that, God reveals truth. He reveals all. And one day, I really do want to know, what part did this Depakote medication take its effect on my daughter?
Change gon' come.